Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to round 6 of the men's series of the Zwift Grand Prix. Today we're racing the last team standing format. This is a format we have not seen before, but it is one that is going to be brutal for the teams to stay in position to make it to the end of the race.
That's right, Nathan. Over the last 5 rounds, these teams have been fighting hard for a place in the finals, which will happen in March. Only 5 teams will punch their ticket to the finals, however. And in just a moment, we'll take a look at the standings and see which teams are still in contention.
Now, we explain the race every week. And why? Because we want you to experience the races in full and know exactly what we are doing. If you are new to the Zwift Grand Prix, we want you to know what is happening. So, this is a new series from Zwift that takes in 6 rounds of regular season racing before culminating in a grand final in March of 2023. Only the top 5 teams will get through the finals, so there is still a lot to fight for with 1 round still to go. Each week of racing features a brand new event format never seen before in cycling, with the aim of bringing the excitement of esports to this new discipline.
If you're tuning in for the first time live, remember you can go back and watch the previous races on YouTube, as you don't want to miss out on this racing. It's been more strategic, more gamified, and really, really exciting.
Each round we had featured men's races 1 week, followed by the women's races the next. And with this extra focus, we've had the chance to know the teams, individual riders, and head to heads better than ever. We have seen riders shine, more attacks, and battles than ever before. This series has been absolutely incredible.
Of course, there's plenty for you all at home to do, so make sure you head over to Zwift.com/racing to see what is on offer, whether you're looking for your first race or you're logging into an event and dropping power-ups on a daily basis.
So, Dave, here we are, the final round, the last team standing. Let's take a look at the format.
Well, cue the dramatic music. It's the grand finale here, and wow, have we got a format for you. Last team standing. This is going to be brutal. So let's get into the nitty-gritty here and look at the details. It's going to be, if the race goes the full distance today, 29.4K. Some are saying that's not too likely, to tell you the truth. 384 meters, if that's the case, make it all the way to the Zwift KOM. It's going to be 3 laps out on one of the most classic courses that we've seen in esports history. You can see that the first lap, there'll be no eliminations out there, but then we'll take out that sledgehammer and start wailing away on the hilly loop, as it will be top 9 or out. Now, your team needs to get 1 rider or more. And that's really going to be the crux of the situation, is are the teams able to eliminate more than 3 riders at that first KOM that comes in 11.1 kilometers in. The power-ups, well, they're going to be decisive today, no doubt about it. You can see that the feather, the burrito, and anvil will come into play. Just like this course, those are classic power-ups as well. Our riders will be very familiar with those. But then we get down to it, the elimination game. As you can see, the 3 different arches, the Zwift KOM, the sprint arch, and the downtown arch will certainly favor different riders, but we'll work our way down from 8 to 7 to 6 to 5 to 4, and then possibly only 1 team could remain, but up till 4 teams could go into that last climb to the Zwift KOM. It's going to be absolutely brutal. Only the strong will survive on a day like today. This format, what a way to wrap up this 6-race season. Nathan, I'm going to throw it over to you now, as we're going to take a look at the teams, the gladiators that will be competing here today.
And here are the teams that will be competing in the final round of the Zwift Grand Prix for the men. It's going to be lined up by Abus Lacole, Arrow out of Australia, Coalition Alpha, Hexagon presented by Saris, Callus Esport presented by Wahoo Burke, Movistar E-Team, Next Esport presented by Insured, Team Castelli presented by Elite, Team Swedish Zwifters, Toyota Priority T, Velocio, and Wahoo Lacole. Now, Dave, let's go ahead and take a look at the riders that are riding for these teams.
When we talk about our 5 teams that are advancing into the finals, this is one of them. And fresh off the Zwift Academy, Jasper Perdanes will be representing Abus Lacole, David de Schmecht, Matthias Van Hee, and Sieben de Valkenier making up this strong squad, Nathan.
Yeah, one of the strongest squads in Zwift. And then there is Team Arrow out of Australia. They're going to be led up by Josh Harris. Then it's going to be Mark Bowstead, Torben Partridge Madsen, Ben Hill, and Kyle Marwood. A couple of really solid names on this team that are going to be representing Australia actually at the up and coming World Championships. Be on watch out for Arrow to make a mark out there today.
All right, so we'll wish the Australians good luck. Now, here's a team that's got a lot in play today. We'll talk about them during the broadcast. Lionel Viassen is there, the Doc out of Belgium. Michael Kaminski's had a strong season. Kiel Power, there, another Belgian on this team. And then you can see the South African, Gary Mueller, and Spencer Segbrook representing Coalition Alpha today.
Next up, we've got Hexagon presented by Cyrus, and it's the really sharp upstart of Michael Plantheru, who's suddenly shown up in to the 2022-23 season. One of the top climbers we've seen out on Zwift, leading that team. Jeffrey Mueller, followed up by Burke Kahan. And it's going to be Tony Lemner and the brother of Burke, Kan Kahan, going to show up forward. That's going to be Hexagon presented by Cyrus.
Can't miss them in that orange jersey. Then we've got legends, Kalash Esport, presented by Wahoo Brook. And this will be the Norwegians, Odd Erlend Hansen Berg, Simon Nordhaus Svensson, Alexei Kalman, Martin Rust Omdal, and legend, Havard Jelness. You'll see this jersey all over the front today. That's Kalash to watch out for.
And then another team that is actually on the bubble today, be on the watch out for them to try and make a stamp on this race. Movistar E-Team, led up by Vidar Mail. And it's going to be Martin Lindquist. Samuel Brandlin, one of the OGs of Zwift Racing. Miguel Angel Andres and Pim Van Diem. They've got a lot to fight for out there today. Be on the watch out for the Riders in Blue.
All right, next we move to the mighty Next Esport, presented by Insured Team, and they're bringing the heat. No question. There's James Barnes. Nathan, you mentioned the World Championships. I think just every one of these guys will be there. Zach Neer, the American, along with Scott Catanzaro, Richie Berry, and Jay Brune. This makes up the Next Insured Team to watch for today.
Next up on our lineup is going to be Team Castelli, presented by Elite. They're going to be having out there today Ewan Mackey, Mattia Gaffuri, Alessandro Barra, Ricardo Paniza, and one of their star riders out there. Be on the watch out for Luca Zanaska, real great breakaway rider. We'll see if he makes some moves.
All right, let's take a look at Team Swedish Swifters now, as they bring the A team. Jakob Björklund, Johan Noren, Martin Harberg, Henrik Almqvist, and Daniel Pinto, making up that blue and yellow, very, very familiar squad to fans of esports through the years. Good luck to Team Swedish Swifters today.
And a very well-known team as well. This is going to be Toyota Cryo RDT. And they're going to be led up by none other than Aaron Borrell. And then second up on their lineup is going to be Bart van den Eckert. Christoph Thiem is guest riding for them and has been made it looks like a mainstay on this Toyota Cryo RDT team. And then it's going to be Jody Jokums and Martin Martins. Watch out for Toyota Cryo RDT for those banners today.
And now to Velocio here, that familiar yellow jersey. And they're bringing Double B, Brad Bickley, to the start line, along with Charles McCarthy. Dan Cassidy will be representing Velocio today, along with Jason Frank and Neil Freyet. Let's see what they can pull off out here today in this unique format of racing. Good luck to Velocio.
And last up, but definitely not least, it is going to be Wahoo LaCold. They're going to be having Ben Russell, followed up by Chris Dawson, Mark Modding, Tim Rugg, and Teppo L'Oreal. What a squad to be showing up today. Watch out for them to be making some breakaway moves for sure, because that is a breakaway squad.
It has been quite a season as the Zwift Grand Prix now moves into our final regular season race, and its next esport presented by Insured on top of the table. They've had two outright victories and really haven't missed a step all season long. Let's see if they can continue that roll today. 76 points is where second and third sit right now. It's the countback that has Wahoo Lacole in second and Avis Lacole in third. Toyota Cryo RDT sitting in fourth right now. These teams are safe to advance into the finals, but this is where it's going to be very exciting. Coalition Alpha needs to have a good day today. They're sitting at 58 points as Movistar is the danger team, but they're going to have an incredible day if they want to make that top five. Sitting in seventh now will be Castelli, presented by Elite. Eighth is Hexagon. Kalish down in ninth with Velocio holding on to a top 10 spot. The Australians, Aero in 11th, and Team Swedish Swifters rounding out our top 12 here after 5 events.
This is the final round, and this is all to get into the grand finals. There's 4 teams that have made it their way through, but there are 2 teams that are on the bubble, Dave. Coalition Alpha and Movistar E-Team are actually the only 2 teams that can actually make it through the next round. It's going to be really interesting to see how they can play things out here today.
Yeah, Coalition, Nathan, can control their own destiny, which is the position that you want to be in. What they really need to do is make it into the top 8 teams, and that's very manageable for them. And if I were that team, that's how I would head into this. Is just, guys, let's just ride within ourselves and make that happen, then we don't have anything to worry about. The team that really is swinging for the fences today, and I got to imagine it, it's an interesting position to be in. It's all or nothing today. Movistar has got to win this race basically outright to be able to make it into that group of 5. So they got a lot of pressure on them. But you know what they say about pressure, Nathan? It can make a diamond.
It'll be interesting to see what Movistar E-Team can do. They would have to absolutely dominate out here today in order to score a total of 25 points to make it into that top 5. Now, Coalition Alpha, you're correct, Dave, and they've got the riders to do that, don't they? They really do have the talent out there with breakaway riders like we've seen with Ollie Jones, Lionel Viasen, etc., to just make sure that they eke their way through. And then once they do hit that 8 rider drop banner, the second elimination point, as long as they're in those top 8, they make their way through. So we'll see what Coalition Alpha can play, but we should see some moves, I would think, for Movistar E-Team. I don't think they can play it safe, Dave. I think they got to be on the aggression. So let's see how that plays out.
All right, well, let's throw it right down to the race and answer these questions for you.
As they're taking off from the pens, very familiar course we're heading out into. It's going to be that hilly route of Watopia, the first route ever actually out in this world, Dave. Interesting to see this as we head into this final, and they're going to be taking on the first of the KOMs, but there is no elimination on that first KOM, is there, Dave?
No, on the first lap, we won't be eliminating any teams, but Nathan, that doesn't mean the racing won't be full gas. I'm really interested to see the strategy and the tactics that teams are going to use out here, because there's got to be some kind of a breakaway that happens out here. Going back to your point, Nathan, this is as original as it gets, but most of these riders haven't been around as long as you, have they? I mean, if you go back 5 years ago, this was about the only place you could find great racing online. Nowadays, a lot of these riders probably haven't raced on this course all that much, is what I'm thinking. Although really it's going to come down to the quality of the competition that makes things so tough out here today. Really interesting profile to be racing on, but I'm going to throw it back to you, Nathan, with everyone all together for now.
Yeah, and this course, Dave, with this climb on here, it's really interesting whether or not we're going to see full gas, everything you got each time you come over the top, or if the teams are going to maybe look at each other a little bit more and wait for those specific banner moments, because this climb is the kind of climb, Dave, where you can put enough sting in the legs to drop people off and try and create a breakaway. We've seen as short as 1:20, a minute 20 over this climb. I mean, that's absolutely flying worlds type effort, but this is a world's type field, Dave, and I wouldn't be surprised if we do see something like that out here today if we are looking for a full gas breakaway. Vidar Mail, Movistar E-Team, a lot of weight on their shoulders right now, especially with this man.
The very recognizable Chris Dawson right in the middle of the peloton there. I think he's going to surf in the group here for a little while. That's Vidar Mel, the Norwegian that we're in cam with. This is going to be an absolute Donnybrook. The climb that we're on right now is one of the most contested climbs in virtual or in real life that you see day after day. And here we go. This is the peloton. These are the gladiators. What a unique format today. So you can see that for some of these teams, they've got to be hoping for a bit of a break right now, Nathan, and getting through this first climb without an absolute explosion on the front of this group. It might be just what the doctor ordered. Everybody kind of easing into this one right now.
Yeah, easing into it. I am seeing that definitely. It's a good way to put it here, Dave. 5.8s, 5.0s. This is really just a steady climb for the type of field that we have here right now. We aren't seeing anything kind of string out at all. We are seeing Teppo Lorio now making a little bit of a push off the front. This could be an attempt to try and get a few riders to come with him, perhaps, or just try and test the legs a little bit here. Usually on the descent of the Watopia Hilly, you don't necessarily see many breakaway stick because there is so much rapid descent that the pack usually is pretty easily able to carry that speed and chase you down. But we are seeing Vyasen now testing his legs just a tad, 6.4 off the front. Now, this isn't anywhere near the kinds of attacks that we're going to be seeing on lap number 2, as there are no eliminations for the entirety of this lap. But next time they come through that banner, Dave, it's going to be the first go at it to see who does get eliminated for this team elimination format.
Exactly, Nathan. That banner right there will be the end of racing for 3 different teams out here. This encapsulates the concept of esports racing that we've had in the Zwift Grand Prix, where, sure, these individual riders have a lot of responsibility, but working as a unit is going to be critical here today. And yeah, that banner, Nathan, that we saw before, we do now make our way through what's going to be a couple more pinch points today, but they won't be eliminating riders again at all on this first of 3 laps out here. Some big names in this field. Nathan, I'm not surprised though. You know, Teppo Lorio going to the front. That's just Teppo doing what Teppo does. As we've said, Teppo isn't really a bike racer. He's more of a lifestyle, and he likes to ride hard. Lionel Vyasen, though, should have some attention being shown his way, because Lionel Vyasen could very well. Now, Nathan, let's talk about what happens if we do have a breakaway out here and how consequential that will be.
Yeah, well, we do have a breakaway here. Vyasen off the front gave it a little bit of a go now. 5 seconds, it looks like. Bickley trying to come across to him. Interesting to see on this downhill. He's making me eat my words here, Dave. Now, he needs a really big gap, and can Bickley get across? Because there is a little punch here at 5% on this. This is mainly a downhill section. So you see the punch here, 8-9 watts per kilogram from these riders. Vyasen here trying to make sure that he can really stamp this down, get that gap that he needs. But it looks like next 3 riders, Cutnazaro, Barnes, and Bruin, all made their way to the front there on that little riser on this downhill section in order to try and make sure that doesn't go too far out. The roll through speed is what they were using there next in order to try and make sure that Vyasen does not capitalize on the rollers through here. With only 5 seconds, they're about to hit the really sharp sections of this downhill. I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of roll through from the pack, and it's going to shut that right down. A good move from Vyasen, but at 2.3 watts per kilogram, I think he sees the writing on the wall. Well, maybe not. Now back up in the 9 watts per kilogram. That's orange numbers to see some high speed.
All right, so you can see now at the front, we're going to pick up Lionel Vyasen as they are full gas at this point at the front. That is not a peloton that's going to play around with Lionel, that's for sure. This format now, there are some teams here, we talked about it in the pre-show, that Movistar is a team, Nathan. I'm wondering what their plan is here today. They basically need to ride the perfect race to be able to make that top 5 teams that advance into our finals that'll be held in March. 4 of these teams, like this team we're looking at right now, well, actually, I should say the team we're looking at right now has a lot to gain by having a solid first lap out here as well, as they're one of the squads that's really in play out here. But everything resetting now. Grupo Compato, as they bring Lionel Vyasen back in. That's the entire peloton together now, Nathan.
Yeah, it's interesting. Something that you said in the pre-show, Dave, about Coalition just needing to defend that position of not getting knocked out at 8th or worse here. Interesting to see that they're burning matches right here to try and make a move. But Maybe perhaps they are thinking that that is their best bet to try and get away off the front there, maybe not get chased down, and think that perhaps some of the teams are thinking more about making their way through. Dave, we got a little bit of attack here, though, going.
TPM. This is Torben Partridge Madsen attacking now. Nathan, I want to get back to that. So to be clear, they need to be seventh or going back to that coalition, seventh is the magic number for them. This is interesting now. Some help is coming from the Swedes as well. This is Harburg coming up to join Torben now. And I can see, so for the coalition alpha team, getting a small break together that wants to ride off the front for a lap and a half would be absolutely perfect, to tell you the truth. If I were them, I would use a rider and try to get someone up into this group. It looks like that would be Power, but he's not going to make this. Is Christoph Team coming across for Toyota Cryo? They're another one of the teams, Nathan, that has guaranteed that they will advance.
Yeah, and we do see it looks like all bat together here. Partridge Madsen, nice little kick there, though, coming from the Aero team. Like to see the aggression. They're going to come through the sprint banner here in just a moment. No eliminations this time through, but they'll get a good look at what they have to deal with. It's going to be a left-hand turn into a right-hand turn. It usually opens up right about here for the lead out, but the rider who does end up usually winning this sprint doesn't actually put their full-on kick until they hit, I would say, a little bit past this little green banner that you see starting the segment. And then they're going to make their way through the Essies and see the lap banner in just a moment. There's the real-life look there of the rider that was just off the front. Looks like cooling it down just a little bit as his heart rate settles in at a steady 3.4 watts per kilogram.
Little recon right now, because the next time that we see this banner, it will be the fifth arch, but the second sprint. And at this point now, you can really feel it, Nathan. You really can. Back in this peloton, how wary these guys are for what's coming. It's like a ticking time bomb, to tell you the truth. You know that it's going to absolutely blow up, but nobody wants to waste any energy at all. Going back, though, to, I think that was a rider trying to chase back on, actually.
Yeah, nice little interesting here. Harburg now. Team SZ, 12 watts per kilogram. Serious move coming from this rider right now. And through the SCs, you can really gain a lot of speed if you put the right kinds of kicks onto the downhills now. 7 watts per kilogram is all that's being put out by Kaminsky at the front there. Lindquist right there from Movistar's team. This is a move that could stick. Remember what we saw from Jammers a while back, Dave? The rider from Velocio, when we saw him make that move toward the hilly KOM from a ways out. If he gets enough distance here, this could put Team SC through automatically on this first sprint point over the KOM.
Well, he still has a ways to go. So, I mean, it really is interesting. If you're going to make this move, you have to really commit to it. If you go halfway with this, it's a huge waste of time. As a matter of fact, massively, this is either extremely brave or counterproductive, to tell you the truth. I don't think there's much of a middle on this one.
100%. Now, here's the thing, Dave. The reality of this knockout that is coming might make the rest of the teams a little bit nervous, right? It might make them say, I'm not going to waste anything. We just have to make sure that we do not get outside of the top 9. Let's just sit in. Don't waste any matches. While Harburg might be taking a little bit of an advantage of that trepidation from the pack at this point, where we're seeing only 3.9 on the front.
I would agree, Nathan, on that one. Harburg here isn't making a huge risk as the peloton now and I think we're starting to see some action at the front. Not insanity, however, just starting to pick up the pace. There's one of the heavy hitters on the next team, Catanzaro, that'll get some attention here. And now I'm wondering, now this would be pretty interesting to me. We talked about the power-ups that they have here today, and I'm wondering, is this enough impetus here to start a real breakaway behind Harburg, remembering that the Swedish Zwifter is up the road. It's really stabilized, though, Nathan, at around 6.5 seconds.
Yeah, it has, and it might come down a pretty solid amount here in just a moment. This downhill into the lap banner, very well-known sprint section, but it does tend to carry some very high speeds with the roll-through past the pier section here in just a moment. So unless Harburg can match the speed of the pack, they usually roll probably about 2 to 3 kilometers per hour faster. He does still have 7 seconds, but he has to hold on to not just 7 seconds here, Dave. He has to actually get quite a bit more than that before the KOM, which is going to come at them in less than about 2 or 3 minutes.
Exactly, Nathan. And that KOM will be frenetic. Even 20 seconds, unless you're Lionel Vias, 20 seconds at the bottom of the climb won't be enough to hold off these guys. You were talking earlier in the broadcast about how quickly, I mean, they really do that hilly KOM in 1 minute, 22 seconds, something like that, when it's full gas out there. And that is mind-blowing for anybody who's Zwifted and knows what that climb is like. There's a name to watch, Luca Zanasca, the Italian there on the Castelli, presented by Elite Team, moving up to the front. Yeah, the peloton is nearly as wide as it is long right now. You rarely see that.
Yeah, 8.8 now, almost up to 10 seconds. We'll see if he's got anything left in the tank, and he's holding on a steady 6 watts per kilogram. This is an all-in move here at this point from Harburg. Interesting to see. It's backing off, though, with Bruin and the rest now at this point because they know the elimination is coming. I don't think anybody's going to be attacking until we get to those lower slopes now with this peloton. So it's nothing but positioning and waiting for these moments. Dave, the first elimination's coming at us here. It is going to be over the top of the Zwift KOM for the hilly forward here at this point. The top 9 are in and the rest are out, Dave. How does this work again for our viewers, Dave? Give us a little bit of you have to get one rider through from your team and then you stay in. If you do not get someone in that top 9, your team is out, Dave. This is all on the line right now.
Yeah, if your team is represented in that top 9, you are good to go to the next arch. However, so there's going to be 3 teams that will be eliminated no matter what. However, it could be more than 3 if some of these teams are able to put multiple riders up in that top 9. That eliminates spots. No, at this point now, a ride or die effort out here. I got to give Harburg credit. Even if he doesn't make the top 9, he impacted the race. And the Swedes, you certainly tip your cap to that. Race makers, no doubt. Here we go. These are some familiar names. James Barnes has hit out with authority. The race is on now. Riccardo Panizza for Castelli is coming. Nathan, I'm going to throw it back to you. The top 9 are going to be absolutely critical here.
These speeds are absolutely insane, Dave. They're doing over 10 kilometers per hour more than Harburg. Look at how quickly they shut that right on down at 11 watts per kilogram, flying by Harburg. The Swedish Zwifter's off the back. He's going to try and throw down that feather power, but the story is Panizza and Barnes at the front. But if they put out too much, Dave, you got to be in the top 9 with your team, and there's a lot of trust in the riders at the front here at this point. Rahul Lacole looking to take those top 2 spots now. Coming here, Dawson from WLC as well right there, but it's going to be Nordo Svensson with a solid kick at 11 watts per kilogram, Dave. Top 9 are out. Where is next?
Oh my gosh, Rahul Lacole's going to put possibly 3 riders through, meaning 5 teams will be eliminated. Did Next get a rider in the top 9? Oh my goodness. I don't believe they did. Upset City here. We'll quickly start analyzing this. Jay Bruin was the rider that would have been closest, it looks like. Nathan, that was exactly what we were talking about. Completely bananas the first time up that climb, and there it is. That's the group of riders coming over the line. My goodness.
What just happened, Dave? Did Bruin make it? I'm not positive. He was there with 11th and 12th. I saw him right on the edge, Dave. And we're going to wait for the information here in just a moment. But, Dave, a lot of teams just got eliminated because Rahul Lacole had 3 riders in there. That means they took up 3 of the team spots that could be, we got to go back and look at some of that, Dave, to get an idea of 2. What teams all took that top 9.
So there's only going to be... Well, I'm going to say 6 teams would be eliminated is my guess here. Because Toyota looks like they doubled up. That's Cryo that I'm talking about, that they doubled up in that top 9 as well. And this next arch is going to come up quickly. So it'll be, again, top 8 spots. And it's representing your team that we're talking about. Your entire team survives if you get a rider. If you get 2 riders, it's no more than your entire team. It's just that entire team. But Nathan, I want to turn your attention to the front of the Bryce. It looks like we've got an attack coming from Avis now. So a lot of question marks, I think, just trying to figure out who's still in this race.
Yeah, 100%. Now, as they're moving on through here, the riders are going to start getting the information sent to them about who is going to continue on in the race now, as they are waiting for the confirmation. David Schmidt now making his way to the front with Paradines as well. Abus Lacole look to be trying to take over at the front of this, as the riders are getting their confirmations here in just a moment about who is going to stay. Looks like Lucas Zanaska thinks that they're in, though, as he makes his way to the front at 3.3 watts per kilogram.
Yeah, right. Nathan, there's going to be some riders that know that they were in the top 9 so that their team would be advancing. They just know that in their heart of hearts. There's others that won't be sure. You know, when you look back at spot 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, you're not 100% sure how that they're looking at the back end API to make sure that we've got it correct here. Very challenging format of racing to orchestrate. No doubt about it. We ask a lot when we go into the Zwift Grand Prix, doing things that have never been done before in bike racing in real life or in esports. So huge challenges there with the officiating, in air quotes, out there, the management of the race.
I am seeing a lot of the riders now back off, and it looks like a lot of the information is coming through from race control, and the eliminations are being communicated through. So it does look like we are down to, I see, Callus is still in here. We've got Hexagon, Toyota Priority T, Coalition, Wahoo, I believe, and Abus Lacole. I'm not seeing any other jerseys than those that they're still pedaling on at this point, and I believe, yeah, and next definitely, it was Brune. It was Brune that was right there. You're right, Dave. Next has been eliminated. There it is, Dave.
Yeah, great. So Toyota Cryo is still in the race. The team's in black here with the black background, I should say. Wahoo Lacole, Abus Lacole, Coalition Alpha, Hexagon, Kalish, and Movistar. So Movistar is still in with a chance now, and very interesting when you look at it, because the team that they were the most worried about is also still in, which is the big problem for Movistar, is they don't control their destiny. Coalition Alpha has some say, and that's going to be, it looks like Lionel Viasen back at it. So ducks are flying at this point. They're not on the pond, as here we go. And it looks like Michael Plantro, Nathan, off air, we were talking about what a phenomenal talent Michael Plantro is. And here he is leading up the chase with no surprise, Tim Rugg there, the Wahoo Lacole rider. They made a bit of a rush at that last arch, and here goes Rugg.
Yeah, Timothy Rugg, Plantro, Viasen. This is a great setup here. David Schmidt just following up here, it looks like, to make sure that he covers the move. Brandlin is there still as well. Now, for this next arch, Dave, you need to be in the top 8 or you are out. We are going to have another elimination here in just a moment. If your team is not in the top 8, you are out of the race. So as it stands right now at the rider nearby list, it's from Paradines out, Paradines, and then on. So while 7 teams remained here at this point, Dave, but we still have eliminations happening here. Coalition here off the front, but it looks like as of this point, they have made it through to the final. So it's all up to Movistar to win outright, and they've got the team still involved, but they got to get in the top 8 right here at the Sprint Arch.
Actually, I think, Nathan, that Coalition has punched their ticket. They've made it into the group of 7 that they needed to go ahead and make that top 5. So this is now going to be about our race here. There's Viasen off the front.
Yeah, Viasen is off the front here. It looks like he's going to hold on to that. So he's going to go ahead and punch their ticket for this. Moving on in this race specifically, Christoph Thiem now makes the move to make sure the Toyota Crowder team are there. Right to the line. It's going to be, I think, Brandlin just nipped it there and kept him in. Vidar Mail was also there. So I believe that Movistar have made it through here at this point. Now these riders are backing off. They must really be under the gun here at this point, Dave, as far as their heart rate just through the roof. Effort after effort. From here on out on this race, Dave, it's going to be non-stop. Your heart just in your throat, complete suffering, I think, Dave, because it's non-stop for each and every one of these lines to survive. Dave, I have a feeling, though, if these teams are really well organized, they could set, and they can trust their riders, they can start setting up their riders to make those moves like we saw from Viasen to keep their team involved and save the others if they can trust them.
Boy, yeah, absolutely, Nathan. When you eliminate entire teams as well, it sure changes the dynamics out here in a crazy way. And so we're again working hard very quickly. We should be able to tell you what teams remain. Did Coalition have anyone in the top eight? And it was top eight that we'd move to through that arch. Next arch now will be top seven. You need to have a representative of your team in that top seven, or your squad is eliminated. So sounds like, Nathan, Hexagon. We will say au revoir, goodbye to Hexagon here, as they did not make the cut.
Yeah, now we do see the suffering coming in. The amount of pain in the legs now at this point is starting to really take a toll on the pack's ability to bring back these attacks. Michael Planthrough did make a move early on to try and get away and maybe even catch Viasin for that sprint to stay involved for Coalition, but now got overtaken by the speed of that pack, and it ended up taking Hexagon out of the race. Now Movistar E-Team, they're still in it, Dave. They can still make this happen, and I've seen Vidar Mail, I've seen Van Diem, I've seen them perform at the highest level, and after taking out the likes of Next Esports and some of these really big sprinters that are involved here, I think they've really got a chance at this, Dave, but they got to keep on pressing on at this point, because now we really start getting down to 7 and out, 6 and out, 5 and out. You got to be in the top spots now at this point. Their star rider, like Mail, really needs to come through here for them.
Yeah, what a fantastic format this is. No doubt about it. We're going to be looking at Jasper Perdens. Jasper did an excellent job at the Zwift Academy, really fighting for that pro contract. I hope that we see him back. He is right on the cusp of that. This is going to be Michael Motting that we're looking at now, the German rider here, bearing the accelerator here like he's on the Autobahn right now. Spencer Segerich, the rider out of St. Louis there. 3-rider break. Oh, boy. So Movistar, Pim van Diemen is the rider trying to join this group. Nathan, he's sitting 4 seconds, 4.5 seconds back. This is not good right now for Movistar here.
Yeah, well, Van Diem, he is going to secure them a spot, though, I think, at this point. So this might be okay for them, because Vidar now can sit in and trust. As long as Van Diem gets through in this top 6 situation here, Movistar can continue on racing. So you trust the rider up front, and then you trust that it might come back together, or Vidar can sit in a little bit and make sure that, because he doesn't have to worry. He doesn't have to sprint at all right now. Everybody else has to sprint for this top 6, and it's really only these last 2 spots. Toyota and Callis right there are going to end up being the ones that secure the next spots. Now, who's out, though, Dave? Who did not make that top 6?
Well, Kalish is still hoping to sweep up a spot right after Movistar comes through. Toyota Cryo, so it looks like, oddly, now we're kind of at a bit of a stalemate, aren't we?
Yeah.
I think everybody is going through at this. Yeah, everyone is good. There we go.
Yeah, well, interesting. Now it really gets to be a standoff, as you were saying here, Dave. Now it's going to be, though, 5 and out. Now it could be, so if the top 5 are representing each one of these 5 teams, they all come through. So now things really get interesting here, Dave.
Yeah, I did not imagine that scenario, and that is where I have to give our game designers so much credit on this. I didn't really think about what would happen if we ended up there. Now, the next lap through, then, is anyone in jeopardy here, or is everybody safe again? We'll have
the reality is we have 3 off the front here at this point, right, Dave? So we've got Abus Lacole represented, we've got Wahoo Lacole represented, and we've got Coalition represented. Those are 3 of the spots, right? And then we've got the top 5 situation. Movistar, as well as Toyota Cryo DT, they've got to be the top 2 coming through over the top of the KOM, or they're out, unless they catch this rider group ahead. But I have a feeling there's going to be a little sting in the legs, a little fatigue in the legs, that we're not going to see the kind of speeds that could maybe bring back this front pack the same way that we saw before.
Yeah. Well, so, all right, we talked about the power-ups. There's one in play. 10% off body weight for 15 seconds is what we're looking there for Michael Motting, the German rider for Wahoo Lacole. One way to make things safe is just always keep someone up in the front group. That goes without saying, doesn't it? But that's what Wahoo Lacole is obviously doing right now. They've got some real strength on this team. I think that they're trying to keep in reserve. That's going to be De Schmecht coming up and over the top here. Different tempo
Now,
this
we do
time
see
on the
Mott.
climb, that's for sure. Look at the wattage numbers, so much lower outside of up in that front group, and that front group is riding away, Nathan. So this is what's happening, actually. Even though we've still got teams to sort out behind, this bike race is going clear, to tell you the truth. It's going to be three teams for all intents and purposes here: Wahoo LaCole, Avis LaCole, and Coalition Alpha, because they're riding away with the race.
Well, I don't know, but Dave, Toyota CRDT and Movistar, if they're able to make it through right here, but they have to challenge right here, right now. And if they make it through right here, they can still work together on the downhill. But Dawson's trying to shut the door on them right now. And Vidar Mail can see that that's happening. He's trying to come across. It's going to be all on Mail's shoulders right now as to whether or not they're going to stay in. And Vidar Mail is going to do it. He's going to keep Movistar in this game still at this point. And the entirety of the team now still makes it through. But Toyota CRDT, Dave, I think they just lost their ticket to make it through to the next sprint.
And Movistar better stay on the gas here, because they can't afford to let this go out any further than 12 seconds, because that next arch comes up very, very quickly. That's what I'm talking about, is this race is in breakaway format right now. And he doesn't have any help to chase.
Here. So now he needs help. Exactly, Dave. He needs help, and no one is going to help him behind because the teammates are up the road. So at this point, Vidar Mail is looking for a teammate to get involved with him here and right now to try and make something happen. It's still going to be this next spot, Dave. There's Movistar, Coalition, Avis LaCole, Wahoo LaCole, and Toyota CRDT. It looks like still here. Interesting.
Kalish out there. So what's going to happen though now is that it's like being a polar bear that's standing on a melting piece of ice. It just gets worse and worse and worse. It doesn't get better when you're back here. So even though he survives, these guys aren't going to help him at all. So Toyota Cryo and Movistar, it's a race between these two, and then you're jumping out of the fire and into the frying pan at that point. It doesn't get better just because you get through the next arch.
100%. Now, how many riders, though? We've got a top 10, it looks like, with 3 off the front, and then there's going to be 4th through 10th are all together. Well, Dawson actually trying to come across here. It looks like Mail went back, so perhaps if Dawson can make contact, he's still trying here. Absolutely killing himself, but Spencer Stegerbrook looks like he really is committed to this breakaway. This is your top 3 riders here, and he's pulling at 5 watts per kilogram.
Kaminsky is going to be the difference maker, to tell you the truth. Michael Kaminsky there, Nathan, because right now Wahoo LaCole is about to win this bike race outright here. The points go from 10 down to 1 for our final 10 riders. Now, we might be down to just 2 teams at that point here, but David Geschmeck is trying to bridge right now as we take a look at the Avis LaCole rider, and he's trying to even things up, because you can see if he gets up there, then it's 2-on-2, because he's got his teammate Jasper Peradanes up in that group. If he hooks up with, and then you can see now Dawson is going to be, this evens things out again now. And actually, Geschmeck goes right by the Irishman here.
Yeah, this is a great move, actually, by Desmet, because these two together are dangerous. Dawson now jumps right on the wheel. They've got 5 seconds here over the group that does contain the Vleckner. It's going to be Russell, Kaminsky, Vidar Mail, as well as Vanden Eyck. Those are going to be pretty motivated riders there from Toyota CRDT and Vidar Mail there from Movistar E-Team to try and get across to these two and maybe shut things down to those lead 3 at this point. But at 21 seconds, there's got to be a lot of firepower. There's an anvil, though, coming from Deschmet. A lot of speed playing forward here with these 2 riders to try and close this down. But it's actually going out, Dave. It's gone out to 12 instead of come back from that 10 seconds it originally was.
Well, I think this is a fantastic race scenario. It's a 2-team race, to be honest, at this point now. Everything happening behind Wahoo LaCole and Avis LaCole really is inconsequential here, because it's almost like Noah's Ark at this point out here. With Modding and Petadines, so those 2 are off the front, with Segerbrook there for Coalition Alpha, but he doesn't really have any backup right now, and that's his problem. So he's the wild card. But with Christopher Dawson and David Deschmeck, they also neutralize each other's, basically sitting in spots 3 and 4 if you move Spencer Segerbrook from that. So these teams it's incredible when you look at it. It's 2-on-2-on-2 fighting out here between these squads. This is what team elimination is all about. We've got ourselves a squared up battle royale between 2 of the powerhouse teams racing in the ZRL Grand Prix right now. So this was a fantastic format to get to this point. And I hate to write off Coalition Alpha. They've had a tremendous day. They have made it into the top 5 teams in the league and will advance into our finals that will be held in March. But right now, let's just square it off. It's like Fraser and Ali battling now, and there's an attack from Toyota Crowd. So Toyota Crowd is coming back. Maybe I wrote them off a little too quickly, Nathan.
Yeah, it looks like Toyota Crowd T now getting involved to try and make sure that they make it through on this next one. It is going to be for this next sprint. We're talking about the top 5. It's top 5 or out. Your team has to be involved in the top 5 or you are out. And Dawson and DeSchmidt are off the front, so that's why Martin Meritens are making a move. He's making a move because he has to, Dave. His team is out if he does not make his way up to the front here, as well as Movistar E-Team. One of these, they have to be involved or else it's over. And it looks like Dawson and DeSchmidt knew exactly what was going on here.
So Mertens needs to catch. I mean, he's got the panic mode has been fully activated now. He's a battler, no doubt about it. So can Martin Mertens make this catch? He's got Christopher Dawson to reel back in. Nathan, it doesn't look great right now because Dawson's got the accelerator down on the floorboard and he's duct taped it there. This is fighting for the life of his team. Toyota Cryo at this point is Martens. Again, he's got to get up and past Dawson.
Yeah, it looks like it's not going to happen at 4 seconds with about 300 meters to the line, Dave. All they have to do is put a little bit of a kick in and left it just a little bit too late. Couldn't trust the riders behind in that group. There's 3 across there. Modding. It's going to be Petterdeens. It's going to be Segerbrook. Coalition, Abus Lacole, Wahoo Lacole, Dawson, followed by DeSchmidt, and Martin's right there, but not going to come through. So we're down to Abus Lacole, Wahoo Lacole, and Coalition, the teams that have gotten through. Dave, are they going to sit up and let their teammates come back? Is going to be my question, because they just eliminated everybody else.
Well, that's a great question. I'm thinking the answer is going to be no. There's so few riders left on this course. This is an every man for himself situation at this point. And looking at it now, so unfortunately for Spencer, I think that, as you said, we are going to be looking at, I'm really curious, and that gap is it going to come down or not? Maybe not.
At 13 seconds, I think they're going to commit. It looks like they're committing at this point. Modding here now, Segerbrook trying to get back on terms. He's 3 seconds back from the 2 that went up ahead. So now Coalition here, they have made their way through to the finals. So this is all about pride at this point. Coalition are in for the finals.
Incredible.
They've made that bubble into the top 5 here at this point. So this is all for pride at this point. Paradigms and Modding here with Wahoo Lacole. They're going to try and take this down with a breakaway effort. Paradigms versus Modding in a sprint effort. They're both breakaway type riders here, so I'm not sure they want this group to come back for a sprint. Going up against the likes of Dawson or DeSchmidt, definitely not something that they want to see necessarily. So it looks like Modding here is going to pull it away as best they possibly can. And, the reality is that DeSchmidt and Dawson, they're going to let their teammates take this away perhaps.
This is the first time we've ever run this format, and we are going to learn a lot about, the data points and the takeaway that we're going to have is going to be really interesting for the next time that we see something like Team Elition. So Jasper Perdane's bringing some great form. As I mentioned, he was doing Zwift Academy. He's been really focused on his riding through this part of the season, and it shows right now as Perdane's of Abus on the front. That's going to be Wahoo Lacole rider Michael Modding there, just sitting up. Well, right there, to tell you the truth. Then we go back to Spencer Segerbrook, who does a great job of keeping his Coalition Alpha team alive. They've had a tremendous day, and making that top 5 teams, that was goal number 1 out here. Now let's see if he's got a lot of work to do to try to overcome these monsters today, but you never know out here.
So it's 10 points to the winner, 9 all the way to 10, 9, 8, all the way down to 1 point to 10th place at this finish line that's coming up here in just a moment. 2.5 kilometers to go. And the finish line, it's going to be up and over the top, I believe. Isn't that right, Dave? It's going to, instead of the lap banner. So this is still going to be a lap banner here, Dave, for some elimination for to get through. And then from there, Dave, it's going to be, and everyone, all the teams are going to get through. And then they've got a final climb for the finish.
Yeah, exactly, though, Nathan. Great point. All of the teams do get through, so there's no elimination. And that is then where we sort things out with the points that we've been talking about. I understand that this is not a simple format, and that's been part of the fun that we've had with the Grand Prix is creating new racing formats. And this one is definitely complex. There's no doubt about it. But it has been very, very unique and fun as well. So there you go. No one being eliminated right now. Top three riders are through on the way to the top of the hilly KOM now.
Dawson looks at it like he's kicking at 13 watts per kilogram to try and get across here and break De Smet now. De Smet does have his teammate, though, De Valkenier, and that's why he's giving a little bit of a kick. It looks like the Abus Lecole rider, De Valkenier, bridged up to his teammate. Kaminsky is there as well, and Dawson said, look, I don't want to go up against two Abus Lecole and one coalition rider. I'm going to just try and drop them right from the get-go here, and it looks like he's maybe making a bridge up to Sagerbrook. He has. Now it's Dawson and Sagerbrook that are chasing down our two leaders. That's Paradines and Madding as we head into the last 1.4K into this final hilly KOM.
All right, to sort out the final placings here, the structure is very, very linear. 10 points down to 1 point for the top 10 riders. So when you take a look at it, Jasper now, this is interesting, Nathan. On paper, who wins this race outright here? Christopher Dawson's put together some sensational performances. He's brought this down to 4.5 seconds now, so he's closing in on our leaders. Jasper made some big efforts earlier, as has Michael Motting. Can Dawson pick up the outright win here? Either way, it's starting to look good for Wahoo Lecole, although spots 5 and 6 being held by Abus. What a Donnybrook we've got going on right now.
100%, and a lot does weigh on the shoulders, it looks like, of Russell and Rugg. I have a feeling that those two, though, Dave, they're going to make up a lot of points there. So it looks like Abus Lecole, they really have to stack the podium at this point. Paradines has to take down Modding. De Vlakner and De Smet need to catch that group ahead and overtake them, and I think that would put Abus Lecole in a good spot to win outright, but they've got to stack the front end of this, and it looks like they're doing it here, Dave. They go flying by Dawson. Abus Lecole might pull this off.
Holy cow. So Dawson blowing up there. And let's see what we've got now. Bit of a reset going on here on this infamous climb. And it looks like, wow, look at this as Sieben and Davenecter is looking exceptional at this point. So Abus in command, Nathan, about 400 meters to go.
Looks like it's going to be De Smet here sitting in, waiting for the pounce, or is it perhaps going to be his teammate that's just going to ride right off the front? But Modding continues on at 9.9 watts per kilogram, leading things out, but it's going to be a head-to-head here between Paradines and De Vlakner here, but is Kaminsky going to be coming over the top? The burrito power-up masterfully used, but it's not going to be enough for Modding. Modding kicks 14 watts per kilogram. Feather power-up, saved it for the last moment. It looks like Wahoo Lecole going to take the outright win, but Abus Lecole are right there behind for a team point situation, but Modding takes it down here for Wahoo Lecole. Paradines for second. Kaminsky rolling through. No, De Vlakner, that's a crucial point that he grabs there over Kaminsky, Dave.
I got to say, Abus Lecole, Nathan, may have done just enough here. We'll get out our this Prix supercomputer and start calculating, but that 9th and 8th, even though Modding takes the title here in a super finale. Wow, what crazy racing this was. Really, really interesting. So, Nathan, that's team elimination format. We've had 6 really interesting weeks of racing here with the Grand Prix. Looking forward to the women coming up next week. They'll get their crack at this. You think they learned a lot out here today, Nathan? I'm talking about the women for next week.
A ton. Yes. I think they're all watching and going, okay, how does this work and what is the best tactic, Dave? Because that was extremely tactical. And it really, what I like about this format, Dave, is how much things change up throughout the race. Once teams start getting eliminated and where people are placed and what kind of efforts they have left, you can completely reset the tactic, and you've got to be ready on the fly in order to say, I'm calling an audible and I'm going to move my teammate here, there, or another place to trust that they're going to get us through. But then if the gaps don't get too big, you can completely reset the race at every banner to try and make it through to the next sprint banner to try and grab that win on the day.
Well, the team elimination, we were really curious coming into this how the teams were going to play their cards. And I'm not sure, Nathan, actually looking back on it, it would depend on your team's strengths or not. But I think the teams still have a lot of learning to do with this format as well.
100%. And there was a lot of risk, it looked like, played on the day. Uh, One of the upsets of the day, major upsets of the day, Dave. First sprint banner, next esports,
Yeah.
presented by Insured, eliminated. One of the number one teams in the world. I mean, the leaders of the series here, Dave. What happened there?
Well, I'm wondering, did they underestimate or overestimate their own strength at that point? Because certainly they had to be surprised. Now, they are an international squad, and with the World Championships coming up in a little over a month, I wonder if they took their eye off the prize for a brief moment. They knew they'd qualified the top 5 teams for the finals, and it just goes to show you how you got to stay hungry like the wolf, as they say.
Yeah, 100%. We did see that maybe they rolled a lot of dice on Barney being able to hold on. I mean, he went full all in at 11 watts per kilogram at the bottom of that climb. Looked to try and be gapping to try and make something happen. Maybe they were trying to create a lead out situation for Jay Brune, perhaps, but Brune maybe caught out as exactly where he was, wasn't able to pull off his usual last kick to the line. He was just nipped out, it looked like, outside of that top 9. So interesting to see, Dave, next esports, and that completely changed up the entirety of the race because you saw on that first lap, next were the ones that were closing gaps down. They were the ones putting people on the front and making sure that nothing got anywhere. As soon as they were gone, the race totally opened up.
Yeah, it's interesting. It reminds me of in real life racing where you put your rider in the breakaway that you're comfortable with and you let that brake go. And then all of a sudden that rider gets a flat tire and everything changes and you're in scrambling mode. And I think maybe you might have hit the nail on the head. I think that they thought Barnes was going to ride away and ensure that the team made it past that first pinch point, and then something happened. And it goes to show you how competitive it is out here in esports as well. This level is so high right now. So, Nathan, I guess we should take stock at this point in the season as this wraps up 6 weeks of racing over really the last 3 months for the men. It's really been fun to watch how this Grand Prix, new formats of racing every single week. I'm not going to put you on the spot and ask you your favorite, but I think that we're going to be back with, if not all of them, most of them again at some point soon because it's been very popular with the racers.
Yeah, this has definitely been really exciting. The kind of situations that's created, as well as the tactics, the gamification. The games played during this, the tactics that played out in front of us have been really interesting. I also want to back to this race here real quickly. A shout out to Vidar Mail for keeping Movistar in it as long as he possibly could. That was quite an effort, actually, that we saw from Vidar Mail, one of the top riders from Movistar, and in the world of esports has been around from almost the beginning when it comes to esports. So nice ride by them today, trying to make it through. They were on the bubble, but unable to come through in the end. But big shout out to Coalition and what they did today to get through. And really, Coalition, I feel like as far as team that was, I mean, they might not have won on the day, but their aggression, Dave, definitely was noticeable today.
Yeah, they had a big objective coming into the day, Nathan. I would say they did win, to tell you the truth. As far as, they checked a major box, which was making those top 5 teams. And I agree with you. What I really love about esports racers is you don't get here to this level by being a quitter and throwing in the towel and shying away from hard things. And that's exactly what Vidar. By the time we got down into the last couple of arches, there was really not much of a chance left. But he was like that, the Knights of Nye in Monty Python's Holy Grail, right? He was not going to die, no matter what. He's going to keep fighting. So it sounds like they've got the series points ready, Nathan. So we can take a look at how things wrap up out here today. Again, thanks to all the racers. They've given us a lot of input on the racing formats. But Nathan, I'll throw it to you for the round points.
Well, in this round, it looks like Abus Lecole just able to pull it off as they put 3 riders into that top 4 spots there out there today. So nice job to Abus Lecole with 23 points. Wahoo Lecole, they were the ones that put 3 over the top of that first Hilly KOM, which really took away a ton of spots from the rest of the teams and caused a ton of eliminations. Nice job to them. Taking second on the day. Coalition Alpha, I would say they were the most aggressive with Lionel Viasen going over the top and making a move. Spencer Segerbrook being in the breakaway. We saw Kaminsky saved for the final climb. Really good tactic laid out by Coalition Alpha, taking that third place. Before we start, Dallas Esports presented by Wahoo Burke in 6th. Hexagon presented by Cyrus, they're in 7th place. Team Swedish Swifters in 8th. Next, Esports presented by Insured, all the way there in 9th place. Arrow in 10th. Team Castelli presented by Elite 11th. And Velocio, they round out our top 12 for the round 6 results today.
All right, let's take a look at our series points now. This wraps up 6 races, and there we have it. Avis LaColle, Nathan, 101 points, the only team into triple digits, and that is what it took to win the season. I am shocked, to be honest. Did not see this one coming. Next Esport, as they don't have the day they were looking for, that 2 points at the end. That's basically a gutter ball there for Next Esport. 97 points for second on the regular season. They'll be back in March, and I'd imagine we just poked the bear. Wahoo LaColle in third with 94 points. Toyota Cryo in fourth with 81. Then Coalition Alpha, and that cutoff point there, Coalition Alpha makes the top 5, punches their ticket along with Toyota Cryo, RDT, Wahoo LaColle, Next Esport, and Avis LaColle into our finals in March. Movistar put up a real battle. A credit to them. Great job, guys. They'll end up in 6th. Team Castelli, presented by Elite, will be our 7th place squad. Hexagon for 8th. Kalish Esport, presented by Wahoo Burke, in 9th. Velocio, 10th after 6 races in our full season. Arrow in 11th, and Team Swedish Swifters. We thank every athlete for participating. It was an awesome, awesome season.
Yeah, really awesome to see. And Dave, the point structure out here, I absolutely love it, because even if Wahoo LaColle would have won on the day and they didn't get those 2 points next presented by Insured, they weren't in the spot that they were, then it would have jumped down 2 spots, right? They would have been in 3rd place instead, which really, I love how the points are structured here, as well as the way the formats work, where on any given day, if your tactics are right, your team shows up the right way, you saw points all over the place. There wasn't just utter domination, it seems like, out there. And for Avis LaColle to take it down in this final race, what a statement that they just made.
Yeah, Nathan, I really want to give credit to, all of the game designers and engineers and everybody behind the scenes who thought up these racing formats. And the point structure, that might seem like an afterthought to a lot of folks. Well, it's critical in creating great league racing and great series racing. And that played out perfectly in point. Much like the F1 points, we made some big changes, and it paid off in a major way. So thanks to everybody who made those efforts and spent the long hours up late at night working on the computer, figuring all this stuff out. It was extremely cool to be a part of something as innovative as the ZRL Grand Prix, Nathan. It really was interesting, every single race. And I think it's true, too. We're talking about bike racing chess, not bike racing checkers here. And Nathan, I'm going to throw it back to you as we say thanks to everybody for a great season.
100%. It's been absolutely awesome watching the men, but guess what? Next week, we've got the women for the exact same format, last team standing. So make sure to tune in next week, same place, same time for the women's racing. You can also go ahead and start your own racing out on Zwift over at zwift.com/racing. You can go there to check out everything that's happening with the Zwift Racing League, as well as the Z Racing Series that's currently going on the weekly, as well as anything else that's happening with Zwift. Thanks a lot for everybody for tuning in. For myself and Dave, we'll see you out on Watopia, and as always, ride on.